No one in Scott County is homeless. Everyone in Scott County is like a family. They help each other out. You don't see anyone living in the streets of Scott County. Homelessness isn't an issue. These are all the common statements of the citizens of Scott County. Hi, my name is Jaden Jeffers and I'm a freshman at Scott High School. I recently visited the homeless shelter. As my mom pulled into the shelter, my mask of homelessness in Scott County was soon revealed. I thought that I would see an uplifting place, but the image I saw was completely different. It is one I will remember for the rest of my life. I pulled up and seen what looked like an abandoned school. Children were running around everywhere outside. Most of the children looked like they were 5 or younger. As I was looking at the building, tears started building up in my eyes. I had no intentions on crying before I got there, but as I was looking at those kids playing outside of that empty building that was supposed to be their home, I could not stop the tears. I soon realized that the homeless shelter was not the happy place that I had in my mind. After drying some of the tears, I went inside. Some children walked up to me and was trying to help me find my way to the office. I met a man who led me to one of the mothers who I could ask questions to. The lady told me her story. She was a mother to 6 kids under the age of 8, and her husband lost his job. They lost their home and started living at a hotel. When they could no longer afford the hotel, they had no way to live and soon became homeless. The homeless shelter stepped in and saved this family of 8 from living on the streets. One of the statements from the lady was, "For our safety, we could not stay in one place for too long. I did not even want to admit to myself that I was homeless. I was a young mother of 6 kids and I was devastated. I had to worry every day about where I was going to find the next meal for my kids. Without the homeless shelter, my family and I would be starving. They have helped us in so many ways and supplied everything that we need." She proceeded to tell me about how her husband now has a job and she helps clean around the shelter. Although the families are extremely grateful for the temporary place of safety, the shelter will never feel like their home. Just like the shelter was dull and gloomy, the people in the shelter were also. The children were sad and you could tell that the family was still devastated. When I go home, I feel safe. I am free to do what I want. That family, those 6 kids, do not have that same feeling. The homeless shelter will never feel like their home, but more of a place to remind them of all the bad things that have happened in their life. That was not the only family at that shelter. There were several other families with several other kids. Homelessness is a huge problem in Scott County that often gets overlooked. You have to take into consideration that homelessness is not always what it looks like. In that pretty brick house you pass by every day to go to work, there are 4 families living there struggling to pay the bills. The definition of being homeless to the federal government is not having any signed documentation as proof of residence. 21% of all the students in the Scott County schools are considered homeless. Meanwhile, 52% of the citizens of Scott County are a paycheck away from being homeless. That is half the county. There are exactly 4,270 students enrolled in the schools in Scott County. Since 21% of all the students in the county are homeless, this means that 897 kids are homeless. Excuse me, let me say that again in case you did not hear me clearly. There are 897 homeless kids in this county. The homeless shelter can only house 22 people at the maximum, so this leaves the kids defending for themselves on the streets. That does not even cover the number of adults in this county that are homeless. The past 3 years, the homeless shelter has averaged to help 250 clients per year, and that is not the number counting the number of the people that they have had to turn away. They can't even come close to providing homes for all the children, more or less the adults. I'm sure you have found this news shocking just as I did. One of the problems is that the people of Scott County are unaware of the gigantic amount of homelessness. Without help, the problems will continue to get worse. The STAND Coalition has partnered with the homeless shelter to help find people homes and get them jobs. They provide all the necessary items for families to survive, such as shelter, food, clothing, personal hygiene items, limited transportation, and education and training. There are a lot of things that happen around the world that we cannot control. We cannot stop earthquakes, we cannot prevent droughts, and we cannot prevent all conflict. But when we know where the hungry, homeless, and sick are, then we can help. Change has to happen in order to help homelessness. We all as a community have become complacent with our problems, but will we continue to stay there? I challenge each and every one of you to visit the homeless shelter and to make the change you want to see for the future of Scott County. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. Franklin D. Roosevelt. I am Jaden Jeffers, and I am the change I want to see happen.